Hello, Joel. How are you?
Hello, Valentina. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm glad I'm doing amazing. Welcome back to She. Over the last few episodes, we've explored attachment styles, the nervous system, emotional safety, and how our past experiences shape the way we show up in relationships. And today we're talking, and we're taking that conversation one layer deeper. We're talking about the wounded feminine. And not feminine in the sense of just women, but feminine energy. So it can be women and men. Not because women and men are broken, not because something is wrong with us, but because many of us learn to survive experiences like rejection, abandonment, criticism, betrayal, or emotional neglect long before we either understood what was happening. And those experiences don't live just in our memories, they live in our bodies, they live in our nervous systems, and they often show up, of course, in our relationships. So sometimes
Yeah.
as overgiving, sometimes as people pleasing, sometimes as chasing love, overthinking text, ignoring red flags, feeling responsible for everyone else's emotions. So today we're exploring
Right.
what the wounded feminine actually is, how it impacts the way we connect with others, and what it looks like to move toward the healed feminine. So not by becoming harder or more independent, but by creating enough safety within ourselves that love no longer feels like something that we have to earn. So I'm so
Right.
ready, honestly, to dive in. And so let's get it started.
Yeah. So we talk about energies, and people for masculine and feminine, we carry both, right?
Yes,
People think, oh, a man will think, oh, I don't. You men do have feminine energy,
they
and
do.
they have masculine energy, and women have feminine and masculine. And the problem is that when we're too much as women. We're going to start talking about women first, and then next week we'll do the
Yeah,
characteristics of male. But with women, when we're too much in our masculine, it's the same as being a wounded feminine. Okay. Right. So then we're in that wounded feminine. And I have some notes here about it. And this also all correlates with what we've been talking about, the nervous system, the attachment styles, how we present in relationships. So just some of the wounded feminine, which we've talked about before, the overgiver,
yeah,
seeking validation, the fears of abandonment, rejection, very weak boundaries, confuse anxiety with connection, which is that chemistry feeling in your nervous system that feels like, oh, this feels like chemistry, but it's really a dysregulated nervous
it is
system.
chaos. It's
That's
not
all.
butterflies. Yes.
No, it's not. Butterflies. It's like, yeah, no. Chasing unavailable partners. And this was a huge one for me. And I realized like chasing an unavailable partner came in subconsciously, one being in that wounded feminine, and it also directly ties up with your anxious attachment style.
It
And
does.
it also shows up in your nervous system. So this is why we are breaking it all down because it all ties together. And when you're doing that chasing, it's because you're trying to prove your worth, which also goes down into your childhood trauma. That's why the way we're describing these on each one of these episodes are all directly related, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some right, they're all so abandoning yourself to keep the connection, accepting breadcrumbs when you know that that's more of what you need. So the nervous system response for some of these, right, is controlling, demanding reassurance, overthinking, people pleasing, the freeze, stuck, numb feeling, chronic anxiety,
Yeah,
and you interpret your nervous system inconsistency as danger,
yeah.
right? So there we go. We talk about the energy, the nervous system, And then how it goes into the wounded feminine. For the relationship, it's obsessing or thinking about the partner, feeling the highs of intensity, which you think's chemistry, which is not. Um, you keep staying because you see potential.
The potential.
You know,
Yes.
right, right. The potential. And then the wounded feminine also. So the core shift with that is safety comes from others when safety comes from
From us,
yourself.
from
You
yourself, from
know,
within. Yeah,
right. The fear's driving the attachment. Intensity's the connection. So everything we've talked about over the last 6 episodes is all tied into now into this. What we want to try to work on, which also comes through going through the healing of the inner child wounds, going through the nervous system, going through the attachment styles. We want to get to that secure place within ourselves, and that's within our energy too, where then you're feeling that you're more secure, right? You're not
absolutely.
chasing the
Because
love, you're not
all,
chasing the validation.
with all of these, what's the end result? That you stay in an unhealthy situation, in an unhealthy relationship, in an unsafe situation, and in an unsafe like relationship. So absolutely. So we need to change that, but we cannot find safety outside ourselves. No,
No, and what's the biggest thing that I know for in your feminine energy, and like I said, again, explaining this is not just about sex. This could be
exactly.
the way a male or a female, although we do process things differently, but how hard have you found it yourself? Because I know for me, the divine feminine, in the healed feminine energy, one of the biggest things is receiving, being able to receive.
Being able to, so being held, and so that's the she seen, held, empowered, because being held and supported, and then of course reaching that state of safety and calm and
Mhm.
softness to receive. Absolutely. And that's how we flow.
Yeah, so
That's how you
that's
attract.
that's right. Receiving, when you can actually start receiving, is the opposite. And that comes also from being healed, where you're healed the trauma, or you are at least self-aware. You've healed and you understand your nervous system. Not that you're still not going to get triggered in things, because you do.
You
But then
do.
also here's, validating yourself, knowing that, okay, how I'm feeling right now is okay. I don't have to wait for the other person to validate me. Recognizing calm is safety. Sometimes when we meet somebody, we think calm is boring because we're not used to it. Calm to let it play out, right? So you think, oh, this is not, I'm not feeling those butterflies. That's
A roller
because that's a
coaster.
dysregulated nervous system.
Yeah.
And calm is trusting safety, trusting calm, trusting your intuition is all part of then going from healing the trauma, healing the attachment style, healing the nervous system, and then understanding and balancing your masculine feminine energy, staying anchored in that experience. You got to stay anchored in something. When something comes in, like, okay, how is this feeling with me right now? I'm feeling embodied of understanding how you feel. I know a situation just came up with me that I said to myself, normally in my wounded little girl, in my dysregulated nervous system, in my anxious attachment, I would never say these things. But I said, what the hell? What do I have to lose? Right? What do I have to lose? So I decided to say, in exactly no matter what I was going to receive, whether it's rejection, whether it's whatever the response was going to be, I was staying anchored in what I needed, how I needed to show up, what my intention was, and feel that no matter what it is, I'm okay with it, because I'm not going to have the fear of rejection. Because otherwise, how are we truly ever going to come forth and really be honest with another person? All that can happen is, if the person's not willing to come forth in their own authenticity, then you know what? It's just going to weed the wrong people out of your life a lot
Yeah.
quicker. It
Yes.
really is. It's going to weed the wrong people out of your life, and you're going to be able to little by little trust yourself more, right? Knowing that you're chosen through alignment. You're chosen through alignment with the security and the emotions and the feelings of understanding who you are, what you need, and learning to try to balance that energy so that you can receive the right people.
That's
You know, the
a good point.
transfer
Yeah. Now go ahead.
from just the transfer from those wounded energies, and just seeing how it does collaborate. It's not like, oh, okay, we're talking about feminine energy. Last week we were talking about your relationship styles. This all goes together. This is all the makeup of a person, of a masculine and a feminine. We all have fears. We all process things differently. Another thing, what I'm learning too, is that in order to understand, it's not just communication, it's connection, right? So you have the meeting somebody in communication is one thing, meeting someone in connection is another.
Yeah.
And it really is. And when you learn that in your energies, even masculine to feminine, how you are going to open that up, communication, and being in your when you can get to a place of your say in that secure feminine, and you can start to say, you know say to a man, instead of coming from a place of wounded, like, is he going to choose me? How about this? I'm choosing me. So, what about if I say something like, well, how would it feel to you? How would a woman feel? How would you want a woman to feel in your presence? That's creating connection more than communication. Because in order to answer that, they have to be able to be embodied in themselves to be like, how would I want someone to feel?
And the connection brings to the reciprocity, absolutely, because then that's otherwise, like you have, it's a one way, and then that's what we don't want. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Um,
And expressing the needs directly, like, okay, if somebody you're getting to know, you can express your needs. I know a lot of times in relationships, a lot of people self-sabotage or self-sacrifice because they're afraid to say their needs, because you're in that, wounded
when the
feminine, where you're like, oh, if I ask her, I'm going to be too much. But
whom
at the same time, how about you saying what your needs are? Like, you know, I haven't heard from you in a couple days, and in order for me to feel safe with you, consistency is really big for me at this point. That way, without becoming accusatory, or like, you're basically
you're expressing
giving the
yourself.
man,
Yes.
you're expressing
It's
yourself, but a
just,
man's a
yeah.
man wants to meet a man's core type things too, is they want to protect and provide. So you're really just giving them the opportunity to do that,
Yeah, and to rise and
right?
to really be in their like masculine, healed and divine masculine. Absolutely. The thing is that the majority of us as women, like we're so, and let's talk, I talk about myself. I've been stuck in masculine like energy. I didn't know, because of course I didn't know about masculine and feminine energy until I started working on myself, and until I started like being in these like with my business and what I teach, and with clients, and like in this environment I didn't know. And then of course working on myself, looking back, I see all the like literally all the situations that I've learned in the past that love had to be earned. That love equal like performance.
Mhm.
And so that's what happened in my childhood, and that replicated in relationships, in the jobs, and not necessarily like all type of relationship, not necessarily like with like a significant other. So that affects you
Right.
so much if you don't understand like you're not conscious and aware of what's running, and so you keep that's what keeps literally like running the show. It's not you. You're just like operating based
No.
on this regulation and the this unbalance of the masculine and feminine energy.
Think about it too this way, as we talked about a lot of times, say what we were talking about is the anxious attachment and the avoiding attract each other.
Yeah,
Well, guess what? It happens in the same way. If you're a woman very much in your masculine, what kind of man do you think you're attracting? You're attracting a man who's in his feminine.
yes,
You're
the
attracting a
woman.
man who's
Yeah,
going to let you mother him,
yeah.
right? But what I have learned that is very powerful, and in all of this healing of my own journey, all the studying I do, all the stuff that I try to teach in the relationship stuff is this. You can very much take two alphas, but a woman in her soft power is an alpha submissive. I've heard that, and it makes so much sense because you can still be an alpha in your business. But when it comes to your relationship, if you can learn to be an alpha submissive, you're going to attract that man that's going to want to lead.
Yeah.
And I know for me at this point, I've raised my children. I'm done raising anyone. I'm not mothering a man. I want a man to be able to be in his masculine. And my part in that is to be in my feminine and be receptive and inviting so that the man can actually step into that. Because we think, oh, there's no good men, but look in the mirror, because you're coming out all butch like you're running the show. Where do we leave men the room to be the masculine?
That's
We
what we
have to
always
learn to
said.
take a
That's
back seat.
always, oh, you always say something that I just like, I love. It's two nervous systems needing each other. And it is so true because this
It
is what a
is.
true, heal and divine feminine, like woman, like embodying wants. It wants, like a woman wants to be soft, receive, and then, of course, like be supported and held, but in a way that's where the abundance flows, and that's where like everything grows in the relationship, not just within her, within him, and within, like, like in the relationship. So that's but we have to step back and really understand, because if we been so wired, I do it all, I carry it all, and like we're in the masculine, the man, what does he do?
Right. And I mean, we've been, unfortunately, in a lot of ways, we're put in that role because I know for me, I raised three children on my own, going through my divorce, going through court, trying to pay all the bills. I'm not doing that in my soft era because I'm like, I'm in warrior mode.
Yeah, in
But at the
warrior mode,
same
exactly.
time, I was in warrior mode, and that's part of who I am. But at the same time, you know, I was never able to receive, where I have found that has affected my life later, and really having to take that look and being able to receive. How am I going to invite the divine masculine in my life if I can't feel that and be receptive and be like, okay, but you know what I've learned? You can't just find that by switching energies. You have to find that by feeling that security within yourself first, by understanding your needs, by understanding your wounds, by working through all that, and then knowing that, okay, this is okay, because you know what? I feel safe with me no matter what, but I can let somebody come in and lead. And the same for men. Their feminine energy, which I know a lot of men in their ego will be like, I don't have feminine energy. But you do. And but you do. And that's a very powerful too, because that's where you can hold space for a woman. That's where you're not in your ego trying to actually fix things, which is a masculine trait, but you're actually able to hold space. So when the woman might ask you, you're not running right into that, fix it stage. You're actually able to hold space. And not only that, a man in his divine masculine who is embodied in his emotions, is self-aware, understands and does that inner work, what they don't realize is that is so attractive to a woman who's done the work, more so than some egotistical dick. Do you know what I mean? I mean, honestly, though, like somebody who's just embodied in their emotions and able to be vulnerable.
Tell me about it.
Like be vulnerable with me. Yeah, I know you want to, ravish me and have all this, amazing stuff, but you know what I want to see? I want to see your soul naked.
Yeah,
I want to see that part of you. Show me that. Show me that. That's attractive.
yeah.
Um, and it all comes down to the same thing is understanding we are never going to be totally in our feminine energy. We are going to flow between both.
Yeah, it's a
But it's a
dance.
matter of are we going to be flowing between the wounded
Mhm.
energies, or are we going to flow between in the grounded energies? Right now I'm in my masculine, I'm doing, I'm creating. At the same time, I'm also now in flipping over and I'm able to receive. I'm able to receive in business. I'm able to receive in, you know, from a masculine. I'm able to receive from myself, even my own intuition.
Because when we speak up, when we share our needs, when we feel like grounded and we don't seek validation support from outside, but we know that comes from within, we feel held and supported, and that's the healed masculine in us. So that's the balance,
Yeah.
because exactly. So through that, you then are open to be in the heal feminine and receive, and everything comes and flows, and that's how you attract the healed man who embodies both healed masculine and feminine. And then of course you can work together through it, but that's the thing, because if you move through the wounded, you're not going to go that far. Yeah,
No, because the wounded masculine in us is exactly the man we're going to attract.
exactly. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and it really truly is. And in the same, the flip side of that for men, when they're in their wounded feminine, what they're going to attract wounded feminine.
yes.
It's as we're healing that energy within ourselves and balancing it, um, and being authentic and honest. I mean, I think we're over the culture of situationships. I think we're over the culture of, um, you know, I know for me, this is all I have to offer is authenticity. Who I truly am and what I need now, um, and being able to be that open-hearted and take the risk of, yeah, there's a chance, sure, you're gonna give your heart to, you're gonna share emotions with somebody. If you think you're gonna never get hurt, you are going to get hurt. Somebody could hurt you not meaning to. But be vulnerable because you're going to get hurt anyway, even in the wounded, even in the protection state, you're still
and
going to get hurt.
And in that way, you let the fear, like, control you and the situation. So you have to just like leave. That's why we're here, to leave. Leave every situation in the best way possible, but let's not like stop, because before things can even happen, because like, and that's what so many do. The fear is sometimes bigger than the faith, bigger than the trust, bigger than just like being and living, unfortunately.
No, and that's what masculine have different. We're going to go over that next week. The
Yeah.
masculine part, they have some differences in the masculine, like as far as types of the way they deal with things, like the way they come forth in a relationship, the way they pull back in a relationship, the way they bond in relationships. I mean, we bond so much differently than men. We bond, we bond probably a lot quicker physically. Um, but I think that the only way to come forth and really truly be able to have a successful relationship is come forth authentically.
Oh,
And you may be rejected. You may be rejected. Somebody may not be able to handle you saying, I'm coming forth vulnerable. This is what I want to see. You may never hear from that person again.
but
And
you're
that's
not
okay
overriding
because
your body. You're not overriding yourself,
you're not
your
overriding.
soul.
You're
Yes.
not.
Yeah.
You're trusting where that's where you're coming into the more healthy nervous system. You're coming into the more secure relationship. You're coming into the more balanced masculine and feminine energies, is to come forth honestly,
Yeah.
especially if you really truly want to have a successful relationship. You have to be upfront from the beginning. Somebody is either going to be able to hold that space for you, or that's you knowing that that person's just not right for me.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
mean, yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's people have to stop. They have to just, if you want to have a successful relationship, you got to do the inner work. You have to become, you know what? You need to become emotionally intelligent. That's the key, being emotionally intelligent. And the only way you do that is to really understand yourself. That's intellect. That's emotional intellect.
And power. You get your power
Yeah.
back by knowing yourself.
Right, and knowing your triggers and knowing those things, and you know having confidence and trust in yourself. These are the things that are really attractive to another person who is embodying that. you know I mean, I'm done walking the walk and wounded. I mean, everybody can walk around with your wounds and cut and bleeding all over everyone else who didn't cut you because you didn't heal the wounds from the last relationship or your childhood. But aren't you over it by now? Like, you know,
Yeah.
let's become emotionally intelligent.
Oh, totally. Yes. Absolutely.
Do you have anything to add about any of that?
I mean, and honestly, I'm curious now to talk about the next week about like man, like masculine and feminine energy in man. But this is something that it's been such a journey, and I've been working on myself like I do it daily. And I see when you are self-aware and you have that emotional intelligence that you were talking about, you actually see and you observe from outside and you see there's a pattern. It's like clear, like so clear, that comes of course when you also go deep into your childhood traumas. You understand where all it started and how it affected
Right.
you, the relationships, and throughout your whole life. I mean, my life up till this day, and how my nervous system was so wired and dysregulated, and how now by noticing this I can with my tools regulate the nervous system. And one more time, it's not that, oh, now I'm regulated, I'm calm all the time. This is impossible. It cannot happen because we're still humans living a life
Right, we
that
are.
has a lot of variables and challenges. So you just approach the doubts, the triggers, the fears, and all the things in from a different perspective, and that's like changes the game completely. It's not being calm all the
Yeah.
time. This is not what a regulated nervous system means. It totally not.
No, and it's not even like you won't even maybe have some disappointments or still anything. But I look back at other relationships or situationships or whatever they were. Um, and didn't come forth with necessarily saying what I really felt. One, because did I even know? Did I even know? No, because I didn't trust myself. I was mistaking chemistry for
Mhm.
dysfunction,
Yeah.
but not coming forth and saying, wow, this isn't really enough for me. But this time, before it even gets started, say, well, you know what? I'm going to come forth vulnerable because I do know what I want now, and I know how I want to feel, and I know what I have to offer, and also that I'm emotionally intelligent. I know that men also want these things. They do. They may have a harder time coming forward. They may have a um different way of expressing that, but they're not animals. They they have needs and they want to be loved too. They want the nurturing. They want to feel peace and safe and able to be vulnerable with someone.
Yeah.
We act like it's all just women, but it's not. Men want
Oh,
the same thing. And some women who have not done the work are not very nurturing and receptive to that. They're
they're in the wounded
in their
feminine.
masculine.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
They're in the masculine and the wounded feminine, and
Yeah.
they don't even realize it. But when you look at it now, from the childhood trauma to the attachment styles to the feminine, it all plays a part in it. And
Yeah.
yeah, is it a lot of work and a lot to understand? Sure. But at the same time, do you want a successful relationship or do you want to keep having situationships? Because that's what's going to happen.
And I want to add, yes, it takes, of course, like work. You got, I mean, honestly, like you should, like as a person, you should be really committed to work on yourself. This is my point of view. But when you do the work, we're talking about women today, when you do the work and you want to heal your feminine, you become so magnetic that
Yes.
you don't have to chase, you attract, and you're gonna attract, once you're healed, that embodied and healed man that you're looking for, and then he's meant to be with you, and then you deserve, like, you don't need to go and chase and find, like, you just it's the you become a magnet.
You do because you're in that softness is it really so beautiful. And the softness is powerful. You know what I mean? It's powerful when you're in that soft feminine energy. It's more powerful than, a boss babe.
Yeah.
It really is way more powerful. We have this in us because we create life. Like we have this amazing power if we know how to use it for the good.
Should we add that by saying this, it doesn't mean that when you're soft and feminine, magnetic, and being able to receive, you cannot be the boss, babe, bitch, powerhouse. You can be both, because when you
You
understand,
are both.
you totally you can be in your heel, masculine and feminine, and then guess what? In that way, you attract even more, and you
But
can control.
even in you right, but yes, the boss babe, even with that though, even when you're in that boss babe, running your business, getting things done, you also know there's a softness with
Yes.
that where then
Yeah.
you're receiving. The business still has to receive.
Yeah.
And otherwise you're repelling it. So it's like there's absolutely you can have both. That's the whole divine feminine is both. I mean, I tattooed my arm that, I don't know if you can see it, years ago, like divine feminine, because that was my goal is to embody her and to be her. And to be honest, the most beautiful part that is evolving is the softness that's coming out of me. The softness and just accepting things for how they flow. They're not always what I want. I struggle some days, but knowing that you can't miss what's for you and be true to yourself.
Always.
Don't try to wear masks. Don't try to constantly be seen. You know what I mean? Be felt. That's the power. It's like leaving somebody with a feeling of you, not to be seen. It's to be experienced.
I
I
love.
want people to experience me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's going to be. It could be, but we're going to, some people have experienced
We're
the
gonna
other
find
side of
out.
me. you know? But it is what it is. My goal, our goal on She is not, it's not just, even though we named it She, it's not just about women.
It
It's
is
literally about, it's the collective, because we work on nervous systems, we work on relationships. As we're doing this, both me and Valentina are growing, evolving, going through our own struggles, building brands, going through transformations. So we are with you. We're walking this journey with you. Yeah.
and yeah, and I mean, we're here to really like help and guide women and men and transform, because we know the power of it. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Joelle, thank you
Yes.
as always, and I cannot wait for next episode next week, next Friday. This one drops on Friday, of course.
Yes. Next week we'll tap into the other energy, the
Yes,
masculine energy.
absolutely.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.